Go to butcherbox.com/weighing in and you will get 2 pounds of ground meat for life with your membership and $10 off on your first box.
I think the judging overall is pretty good. You've got a couple outliers, and we've talked about some of these judges that are outliers that continue to make bad decisions. I also think though that if you're gonna, I don't think open judging or open scoring is the way to go either. I don't agree with that. I don't think you're going to end up with a lot of fights that are going to end up being 2 rounds to none going into the third, and the fighter just sticking to moving, trying to stay away, and the other fighter chasing after him, being reckless and careless. Maybe we'll potentially get knocked out. Maybe we'll potentially get a win. Who knows? But you're going to end up with some of those, and let's just say like in a title fight. I can't even think of a title fight as of recently. In a 5-round fight, let's use George. Let's not use a title fight. Let's use George and Colby. Well, Colby was up, obviously, I think, 3 rounds to 1 going into the 5th, or maybe all 4 rounds.
Well, on 2 cards, he was up all 4 rounds, and on 1 card, he was up 3.
Yeah. So when you have those, that 5th round, would he have fought differently? Who knows? Would he have fought the same? Like, what would he have done differently? I mean, knowing that he could have just got the takedown, he probably would have just continued to be that person. But if the roles were reversed, would George keep going after him? Would George circle and stay away? I mean, it really kind of affects, I feel like maybe it affects the stand-up fighters a little bit differently, because they would probably stick and move and stay on the outside, whatever it is, the potential of it happening that way. Whereas wrestlers, if they're dominating a fight, they're probably dominating because they're getting the takedowns and just riding it on top. But would they be more eager to get finishes? That's the question. If you're dominating a fight 3-1 or 4-1, would they just hold them down and just punch and just light strikes, body, head? Are we going to see more of that? So I also feel that some of these fights that we're talking about, some of them, John, could be closer fights than a 10-9 round. It could be a 10-9.5 or whatever, a 10-8.5, 10-9, whatever it is. Okay. Like, it could be a closer round versus giving people a full round, a full point, to make it a little bit closer in terms of like, okay, this guy won this round. I guess we were just talking about this a little bit off air. You're talking about the Matt Brown situation. Well, he won 4 minutes of the round in the second round, but he got dropped or he got rocked real bad or whatever. You know what I mean? And so do you give him a full, he won 4 minutes. Do you make it a 10? Do you make it a 10-9?
No.
Or do you give it a 10-9.5?
This is the problem. The real problem is this. As you were saying, most of the judging is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. If you take a look at it as a whole, they're getting the right scores. Now, every now and then you're going to have a decision that can be controversial. We do have some people, we call them outliers, that they just give bad scores, and you hope that the other 2 judges are competent enough to, ride that out and come up with the right score. But judging is never going to be subjective. Never going to be objective. It's more subjective. And the problem is this, from what I see most of the time, fighters have no clue what the judges are actually giving credit for. They don't know. Mm-hmm. And Matt Brown doesn't know. And I feel bad for Matt Brown that he doesn't know. But when Matt Brown makes the statement, I won 4 minutes of that round. How did I lose that round? The judges aren't going off of minutes. They don't care how many minutes that you're squeaking by doing a little bit better if that's what you did. What they're looking for is fight-ending sequences. They're looking for damage. And if you got damaged and you got hurt in that round, or you almost got submitted in that round, and in that, we'll say that you did better a little bit, you're going to lose the round. It doesn't matter on a clock system. That would be if you had judges sitting there with clocks looking at things. They don't do that. They're looking for who is trying to finish a fight. And by trying to finish the fight, that means that we're putting shots on someone that have a great effect. And if you were hit with something that had a great effect on you and hurt you bad, and you lose that 1 minute dramatically, but you barely squeak by the floor, you're going to lose the round. And fighters need to know that. Fighters really need to know that, because if they're thinking that it's based upon I win 3 minutes of a 5-minute round and he wins 2 minutes, that means there's no way that I can lose the round. You're absolutely wrong. And so the first thing that has to happen is fighters need to really be told, hey, this is what judges are looking for. Because right now, for the most part, I would say most of them don't really know. And Al saying that we need better judging, we always need better everything. We need better judging, we always need better refereeing, and we need better fights. Let's just be honest. So it's always, we want better. There are people out there that are pushing the open scoring. One of the commissions is Kansas. Adam Rohrbach from Kansas is a huge proponent of open scoring, and he's been using it in Kansas, and he wants everyone to use it. Do I have a problem with it? I don't have a problem with it at all. Do I think it's the fix? I don't think it's the fix either. So, if someone wants to have it, I think there's advantages to having it in some ways, and I think there's disadvantages to having it. So to sit there and think that open scoring is going to take care of your problems, it's not. It has its advantages, though. And in some fights, it would be good for fighters to know, hey, you need to win this last round, because hopefully that would make them do more. But in the end, you can only do what you can do. Mm-hmm. And so everything in the fight is dependent upon, you should be going out there trying to win every moment of every round. Obviously, you can't do that, but you need to understand that judges are looking for those fight-ending sequences. They're looking for, the first thing they're looking for as far as strikes is they're looking for the knockdown. That knockdown means that you were put in a place that you did not want to be. Okay. Then they're looking for the heavy blows, the ones that they can see affect you. You're having to circle out. You're having to get away. You need time. You're trying to, all of a sudden you're diving in for a takedown because it hurt you. That's the next level they're looking for. Then they're looking for the volume strikes where you're actually touching your opponent, having some effect. That's the way that they're looking at it. They don't sit there and count punches, because not every punch, and this is what's wrong with when you get into whatever promotion is going to have it, and they all seem to have it, these, punch stats or strikes, significant strikes, or any of these things. They're all bullshit, because not every strike is the same. You have some strikes that are light, you have some strikes that are heavy. What would you rather be hit with? The big heavy shot or multiple light shots? Obviously the multiple lights. Well, then we're going to give more credit to that? No, we give more credit to the heavy strike. So someone can land 5 strikes, someone can land 1, and they can win the round. That is the way judging is.
Well, how do you remedy this solution for fighters to understand this? I mean, like you and I have talked about this on this show quite a bit. When I came to you and we started working together at Bellator, and then we started doing the podcast, one of the conversations that you and I always had, whether it was over a beer or breakfast or lunch or whatever it was what are the rules? And it's fair to say that I was one of those fighters that fought for 20 years and didn't know all the rules. And how many other ones that are out there that don't seem to understand what the criteria, not just the criteria is, but the little things like, don't I get 5 minutes for this? Don't I get time for this? What do you mean? I can't hit you this way, or I can't use this part of, they don't know. No. And we laugh about it, but it's a crazy thing to believe that fighters, they just have a perspective of, I just care about the major ones because those are the ones that happen the most.
Yes.
But in that scenario where like the Aljo and Piotr Jan situation, it came down to maybe like the corner maybe knew or something was said, and then he went from, he understood how he could get the win or how it could all go down. And things like that happen, but open scoring to me, John, I don't think it's going to, like you said, it's not going to fix it.
No.
If anything, I think it could potentially end up being more of a problem as time goes on, when people learn how to buck the system a little bit more. In the beginning, it'll probably still stay the same. The one thing that I wanted to say was this: open scoring, fighters majority of us fighters, or majority of fighters that are at the highest level, you know whether you lost that damn round or not. Go to butcherbox.com/weighing-in and get 2 pounds of ground beef free for life and $10 off your first box.
100% agree. Look,